Welcome to the PDX files. Each week we dive into the weird and the unexplained here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Peach.
And I am Mac.
Mac, what are we talking about today?
Well, something we probably should have talked about before, honestly. It's the kind of a legendary creature in our area, the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch, however you decide to. I think, isn't it called something else in like Tibet? There's
Yeti?
some other term. Yeah, the Yeti, exactly. So there's certainly a lot of lore behind this creature, and I actually remember as a kid hearing about the Sasquatch being kind of a real thing in the Pacific Northwest. People are looking for it all the time. Have they found it? No, but let's examine.
All right, as usual, folks, I have not seen this video, and actually, this is I know last week we broke a little bit. I found the video instead of Mac, but this time Mac found this video again. So all credits and criticisms go to him.
All the criticisms.
All right, let's proceed.
Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot, is a legendary creature that has captured the imagination of many.
Hello,
Sightings of this elusive being have been reported across North America, with certain regions standing out for their high concentration of encounters. Here's where you're most likely to hear tales of the 7-foot-tall hairy figure or even hope to catch a glimpse of it. The Pacific Northwest of the United States is frequently linked to Bigfoot sightings, particularly the forests of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Washington State is known for having the highest number of Bigfoot sightings in the country. This region's dense forests and remote wilderness areas make it a prime location for those hoping to encounter the legendary creature. Within the Pacific Northwest, Washington State stands out as the epicenter for Bigfoot sightings. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization has collected numerous reports, and when compared against state population data, Washington appears to be the place where one has the best chance of encountering Bigfoot.
And I kind of remember that as a kid. I also kind of thought that the state of Oregon had some of that as well. We don't have, I guess, as many. I mean, we have the Cascades, but I do kind of remember growing up that Washington was more of an epicenter for that. I don't know, but what do you know about this area and Bigfoot? Since you're just watching,
I really don't know. I don't have a deep understanding of or knowledge of Bigfoot. I mean, apart from, kind of just a little bit of cultural mentions here and there.
Yeah.
I do associate it as Pacific Northwest, though I always have. But so I did not. Again, I reacted to it when it was mentioned on the video just now that Washington is has the most sightings, because I just assumed. I think that it was just Pacific Northwest, including Idaho, to be honest. So
well, Idaho doesn't have as much forest, I guess, is kind of what. Is kind of where the Bigfoot is kind of allegedly
True.
supposed to, kind of be.
Yeah.
And the Olympia area certainly has a lot of forest around there. It's the Puget Sound, the Northern Cascades, things of that nature. So Washington, Oregon would kind of make sense. Also, if you look down and you're talking about Northern California around the redwoods.
Oh yeah, the redwoods.
It's probably where they would sort of look at that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. I think it's called the Patterson video, like 1966. I think it talks about that in this video, but that one kind of the iconic video of the thing sort of lumbering around, and is kind of what I remember about Bigfoot anyway.
Right on. All right, we'll proceed here, and I've got my thoughts, but about that video.
You're gonna have
but,
some thoughts. I know.
I'll proceed here.
Skamania County, in particular, gained attention in the 1960s when it became the first jurisdiction to enact a law protecting Sasquatch. The Pacific Northwest is a region steeped in the mystery of Sasquatch, commonly known as Bigfoot. This area's reputation as a hotspot for sightings of the elusive creature is not without reason. Here are the factors that contribute to the Northwest's notoriety in Sasquatch lore. The legend of Sasquatch has deep roots in the Pacific Northwest, with Native American tribes sharing stories of large, hairy, forest-dwelling creatures for centuries. These tales were further bolstered by early settler reports from the 1800s of ape-like beings, embedding the creature in the cultural fabric of the region. The Pacific Northwest is characterized by its vast, dense forests and remote wilderness areas. These regions provide an ideal habitat for a creature like Sasquatch to live with minimal human contact, thus enhancing the plausibility of its existence and the frequency of reported sightings. Washington State, in particular, boasts the highest number of Bigfoot sightings in the country. Notable locations like Ape Canyon and the Lummi Indian Reservation have a rich history of encounters, which only adds to the area's reputation as a Sasquatch haven.
Tell you what, for those watching this on YouTube, you will agree with me. But for those listening on the podcast, you just have to watch the video. I mean, Pacific Northwest has some really beautiful environments. You know what I mean? Just the wooded areas and the mountains.
Yep, and it's really comparable in some areas, especially the Northern Cascades, to the Alps in Switzerland. And,
oh yeah.
I mean, I was looking at the video. I was thinking Lord of the Rings, or they're going to light the pyres, or to like let Rohan know. I mean, it kind of looks like that a little bit. Yeah, we're really lucky here, but you know, again, it's kind of going over the fact that it's possible, because there's areas, there's even areas of the Amazon that haven't been explored, right? So there's certainly areas of the Northern Cascades and even the Cascades in the Northwest that haven't been touched
Really?
by human beings.
Was just protected federal land? Is that why?
Yeah, that's mainly why. And looking at it, it's plausible is kind of what they're saying that it could be. Again, we have thoughts. We'll kind of wait on those thoughts till the end, but I think that making the case for it is actually pretty kind of an interesting thought process.
The thing, though, that
Experiment.
I guess it's adding a little bit more credence to this is the stories and tales told in the Native American culture,
right?
That are passed down, verbally through centuries. I think, like I said, I think it adds a layer of potential realism to it.
Plausibility, yeah. I mean, I think even if you look at, I mean, this creature has been seen in other areas of the world as well, right? So we talked earlier about Tibet. I've even looked in my minutes of research that I did, saw a report in Florida of Bigfoot, right? So that could just be Florida, man, but also a possibility in some of these areas that are a little untouched and not, and it could maybe a little bit more remote. It could be. You just never know.
Yeah, the Oregon version will be carrying a machete. All right, we'll proceed here.
Let's do it.
North American Bigfoot Center in Boring, Oregon, is a testament to the region's fascination with Sasquatch. The center offers exhibits and research opportunities, further cementing the Pacific Northwest's status as the epicenter of Bigfoot exploration. The existence of Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot, has been a topic of debate and fascination for decades.
It has.
While there have been numerous sightings and anecdotal evidence, the scientific community has largely remained skeptical due to the lack of hard evidence. However, some studies and investigations have been conducted to explore the possibility of this creature's existence. Despite numerous claims and purported evidence, there is no definitive proof that Sasquatch exists. Most of the evidence put forward, such as eyewitness reports and the famous Patterson-Gimlin film from 1967, lacks the scientific rigor to be considered conclusive. Studies analyzing supposed Bigfoot hair samples have almost always identified them as originating from known animals like cows, raccoons, deer, and humans. Some researchers have taken a more serious approach to the investigation of Bigfoot. Forensic expert Jimmy Chilkett and Idaho State professor Jeffrey Meldrum have analyzed casts of alleged Bigfoot prints. Chilkett claims that a footprint found in Washington state has convinced him of Bigfoot's reality, while Meldrum points to the Skookum cast, a large plaster cast, as further evidence.
Yeah, I kind of remember again that video that looks like a 7-foot Chris Farley in a monkey outfit, kind of rock, kind of walking across like a creek or something like that. But I remember also them capturing what has not been debunked, I don't think, at least to my knowledge, is some of the plaster casts of the footprints. So again, is it something that lives in that area? It may be extinct now. Maybe it's not even existing anymore. But
deforestation and all.
Yeah, the ability. Yeah, exactly. Maybe we wouldn't have found it if we had started cutting down all the trees, and it was completely fine just living on its own. And maybe not a big. It could be maybe an offspring, not offspring, but like another part of the tree of hominids. And that type of thing. So I mean, I could see that possibly happening. Then again, we haven't even fully explored, haven't just fully explored the ocean. We haven't fully explored all the forests, and so maybe it's still hiding out there. I don't know.
It could be a Nephilim, harkening back to our episode on the Anunnaki.
Right, and there is, I think, something about that as well. It's like it's a creature that can sort of go into two different realms, right? So some of that Native American stuff that again, Native Americans have seen this creature throughout their history. It's not something that is new to them, right? So correct. You have to look at that as a potential evidence of something like that.
Absolutely. All right, let's continue.
The term Sasquatch itself is derived from the languages of indigenous peoples. It is an anglicization of the Salish word Saskes, which translates to wild man or hairy man. This term was popularized by J.W. Burns, an Indian agent with the Chehalis Band, in the 1930s. The Styles people, closely associated with this term, believe Sasquatch can move between the physical and spiritual realms. Other indigenous nations have their own names for similar creatures. The Sasquatch is known by many names among the indigenous peoples of the Northwest. The Lummi speak of Tsemakus, nocturnal giants that inhabit the mountains and forests. The Salish people refer to the creature as Sasquatch, meaning wild man in their language. This term was later popularized by a Canadian journalist in the 1920s. The historical record of Bigfoot in the Oregon region began in 1904 with settlers reporting sightings of a hairy wild man. Native Americans used these events to discuss their own knowledge of such creatures, with the existence of wild Indians of the woods being documented as early as 1865 by ethnographer George Gibbs. Despite the skepticism, some academics have called for a comprehensive, scientific study to determine once and for all if Sasquatch is real.
Yeah, and I don't think that's such a bad thing. I mean, I know that it's kind of taboo if you're a scientist, or probably not even that's not even the right word. Like, is it a zoologist that studies animals, to like do something like that? But it seems to me, if you look at some of the lore and the history of it, and not really withstanding the that video, or that camera, or whatever they call it, video tape version of it back in 1966. I think the cultural impact is there. So it's something. It's not just a. I remember a couple other things I looked at, like it was just like a black bear, or
Right.
it was talking about some other creatures. I don't think that the human beings are that crazy to be able to mistake a raccoon for something that's 7 feet tall and kind of looks like a dude, right? Like a
Right.
wild man, right? I find those legends to be pretty interesting. And again, they're not just here in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of a worldwide phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of ludicrous for me to attach so much skepticism to Bigfoot, seeing as how I'm open to to other possibilities like, ghosts and aliens. But I think I feel like, to me, like I said, there's a level of reality to it based on what the Native American cultures have been talking about for ages, right?
Right.
And the sightings themselves, stories of the sightings, can also, give it a little bit more teeth. But I guess the lack of video evidence, apart from that, the one that was, did you say it was 1967 or
Yeah,
something like that?
1966 or 67. I mean, there's been tons of other photos and like since then, but that's kind of like the gold standard for
the
this
the
particular
most gold standard, but it's like super
cryptid.
blurry and
Yeah, and again, it looks like Chris Farley. I mean, that's all I think
well,
about.
I mean, anymore, anytime I see, like, obviously on the video that we're reviewing right now, there's images that are depicting Bigfoot, but it's like, that TV show Harry and the Hendersons, like back in the 80s. That's
I thought
that's
that was a movie. Maybe was it a
Was it
TV
a
show too?
movie? I don't know. Culturally,
And
it's stuck in my mind as kind of like
John
that's
Lithgow, I think, was
it
in
was
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that was kind of like my my I guess my understanding of what Bigfoot looks like. And honestly, since Star Wars, Chewbacca is also kind of like
Chewbacca,
another
right. Definitely
another
a
kind of
reference
like
there.
exactly
Yeah,
reminiscent of
yeah.
Bigfoot. There's fascination, of course, for those unknown forest creatures, like you said, around the world, including the Yeti and Tibet. I guess I'm not 100%. I guess I'm not really, completely dismissing the
Dismissive. Yeah,
possibility.
yeah.
But I just need, just with anything, I just need more proof.
Well, the thing the kind of theory that they talked about in the video of it being like a being that can sort of exist in two different realms kind of makes sense if you kind of think about it. That was pretty interesting. It's like it's not necessarily a creature that is its home world is here. It can go between both. So that might explain why they may find evidence of it, right? But
Right.
not necessarily be able to capture it
But not the actual
or
one.
find a dead body or something like that because it can exist in both realms,
And
which
that's
I
actually
thought was fascinating.
so that theory is actually the first time. I mean, that's the first time we're hearing
I
about that theory
same,
about it
yeah.
being able to exist in multiple dimensions, or at least two dimensions. Um, that sounds like a very recent new agey thing, to be honest.
Well, I thought
Like,
they said that that was a kind of a theory based on some of the Native American.
oh, you're right. They did mention it in the
Yeah,
video. I
right.
don't
So
know.
I
They
mean,
were doing a lot of peyote back then too, so who
they
knows,
ayahuasca, all
or
this.
something.
Yeah, what do the Eagles take in that? I can't remember what it was. There's something like that in one of their songs. They're taking some weird stuff. I don't know. I mean, it could just be they made a beer or something that just sort of drove them mad, and they kind of see these kind of things. But again, you have to look at the number of sightings. Okay, a lot of drunk white people maybe have seen those, but the Native Americans who this is part of their history, part of their religion,
It's part
almost
of the
part of their
oral
lore.
history. Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of tend to feel like they they see things. I don't think they're seeing a black bear or they're seeing a raccoon. They're seeing something that they believe it's the perception that they have that it's real. And if you have enough of those, and again, I don't know about like it's kind of similar to the Loch Loch Ness
Loch
monster,
Ness.
which we'll look at that in a future episode. But when you have things piling up like that, you can't just dismiss it, which I think is what I don't think we're definitely not doing that.
No.
Are we skeptical? Yes, definitely. I mean, it's be very difficult to hide something like that, even in the forests that we have here, which are not as big as they used to be, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring it home with the end of this video.
Let's do it.
The Sasquatch is a figure that embodies the mystery and majesty of the Pacific Northwest's wilderness. Its historical roots in indigenous communities highlight the rich cultural tapestry of the region and the deep connection between its people and the natural world. Whether as a spiritual entity, a symbol of environmental stewardship, or a cryptid yet to be scientifically recognized, Sasquatch remains an important part of the Northwest's heritage and continues to captivate the imagination of people around the world.
I think that the weird British guy summed it up really well there. To be honest, it's like it almost doesn't matter if it's real. It is part of the cultural tapestry of the folks who have lived here before we did, and it's become something else, and it's become now a cultural a legend. It's become a, what do they call it? I can't remember the term, but it's like it's an iconic creature. I mean, everybody, if you say Bigfoot, they're gonna know. Anybody's gonna know what that is. I guarantee
Sure.
you. If you ask anybody on the street, what is Bigfoot? Oh, I know what that is. If you see Sasquatch, watch out. Maybe not, but everybody knows what a Bigfoot is.
Yeah.
So is it real? Is it not? It almost doesn't matter. It's kind of become part of our cultural tapestry, I guess, is kind of what the guy said.
Yeah, it's interesting because much of how the early peoples described things are in a fantastical way have been really watered down to almost nothingness because science was able to explain many, if not all of them, right?
Right.
And so the fact that Bigfoot persists to this day as something that, is either, I mean, obviously it's still unexplained, still unproven.
It hasn't been debunked.
It hasn't been fully debunked. And like the video says, it's part of the Native American culture. Yeah, I mean, I think there's enough about it for it to remain in my psyche, so to speak. But like with many of these paranormal things that we talk about, I personally want proof.
100%. Yeah,
I want to talk to Harry. I want to have Harry. I want to have an interview with Harry. Say,
Screw the Hendersons.
Screw the Hendersons. Screw the Hendersons.
Yeah, I want to talk to that guy.
Well, if you enjoy this content, please give it a like and share it across your socials to help get the word out about our show. If you hadn't already done so, please subscribe. And on YouTube, hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on future episodes. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.